So, good morning everybody and welcome to the Christmas special weight loss challenge. Sorry about the appearance, I'm literally just out of the shower. I was just training there. Knackered. Right, so let's kick this off. So again, remember we've got two levels here for the first couple of days. We've got the people who've done this before. We can kick straight off with a 2 hour eating window or the 4 hour eating window, whatever you prefer, whatever you're accustomed to. It really honestly, and you have done this before, it really honestly depends on how long ago your last fast was. I know I missed out, personally I missed out last month. That was no fault of mine, just things behind the scenes. I was trying to get set up for coaching and stuff. I was just far too busy to really give you time. But I know some of you still did it. So for some of you who've been doing this regularly, you can jump straight on the 2 hour eating window. Alright, that shouldn't be an issue. If you haven't done it in a while, give it the 4. And if it's your first time doing it altogether, start from 1 o'clock until 8 o'clock. Eating window always eats at 8. Now listen, see when we're saying that. Say if I say eating window is 1 to 8, or 4 to 8, or 2 to 8. You got to understand that everybody's slightly different. Everybody is very different, and everybody's lifestyle varies. The whole point of doing something like this and using this as a tool, we don't call this a diet. It's a tool that we can do for restricting calories. And we'll get on that again a wee bit in a minute. It has to fit into your lifestyle. If it doesn't fit into your lifestyle, if it's not adjustable for you, then you're not going to do it for the length of time required. Remember, normally we do 5 days, we want to do 12. Or even if it's something that you want to fit into your lifestyle on a regular basis, and again, I'll show you how you do that after this challenge. Well, we'll talk about during the challenge, but after the challenge, if you want to incorporate intermittent fasting into your lifestyle, what's the best way to do it? Remember, we never want to be in a calorie restriction all the time. Chronic diet is not good for you, especially. I'm going to make the assumption that most of you on here are over the age of 40 or within the menopausal range, or a hormonal shift sort of range of life. And again, there's a lot to try and cover here, so we'll try and really simplify this as much as possible. Do forgive me if I start getting a wee bit technical. I try my best not to, but this is the way that I see it in my head. I basically just describe it the way I see the mechanism in my head. Right, so the way when I'm talking about something, describing something, I see the mechanism in my head and how it operates hormonally, physiologically, biologically, and I try and break that down for you to understand, because it is very technical. All this is very technical, but I am a big believer in, for application we need information. It's easier for you to apply something, it's easier for you to do something, especially something that requires a wee bit of hard work or discipline or dedication, if you completely understand the reason why we're doing it. For example, remember all the diets you did in the past? Well, it was keto, if it was Weight Watchers, if it was Slimming, if it was the fucking purple diet, yellow diet, or whatever it was, did you actually understand why you were doing it? Did you understand how it actually burnt body fat or burnt calories? You hadn't a fucking clue, which is probably one of the reasons why you found it very difficult to stick to. Because, like, for example, the way normal diets work, I'm going to wake up, it's Monday morning, I'm going to completely try and overhaul my complete eating regime, because I'm normally eating fattening foods. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have poached egg and avocado for breakfast. I'm going to have something fucking Q1 and fucking some stupid salad thing for lunch, and then dinner I'm going to have salmon and vegetables, and I'm going to try and do that every single day. And it doesn't work. One, you don't know why you're eating what you're eating. Two, you've completely tried to overhaul all your diet, which is just nonsensical, stupid, because your normal eating behavior and habitual action won't allow you to do it. So it's understanding the process, all right? It's trying to simplify everything to fit into your lifestyle. This has to be catered for you. Although we're all doing the same sort of tool, we're all using intermittent fasting, it's not a cookie cutter, and by that I mean it's not one thing fits all. It has to fit you. And that's the only way you're going to do it long enough, or consistently enough, or regularly enough, for it to actually give you the best results that you want. Does that make sense? Good, I'm saying that. So the eating window has to be flexible to suit you. So for example, if I say I want you to eat from 4 until 8, for some people, most people sit down to have dinner at around 6:30. Well, then bring your eating window forward 4 hours, as long as it's a 4 hour eating window, which gives you a 20-hour fast between your start and finish time. Does that make sense? So it has to be flexible enough to fit into your lifestyle. So for example, the 1 to 8, if you want to bring that from 12 to 7, fine. It's the length of time in which you're eating and the length of time in which you're fasting before the eating window again that's going to make this beneficial. So it has to fit into you. So it's not about, 1 o'clock, 8 o'clock, stop. Well, it kind of is, but as long as it fits around you in your lifestyle and your family and everything else that you're doing. Because remember, consistency is more important than strategic planning all the time. Even if you miss an hour here and there, you miss something you shouldn't have. You forget, some of you will forget, and you'll add milk to your coffee or your tea. Oh, Jesus, it's not the end of the fucking world. It's what we do over a prolonged period of time that's going to give us the results, not what we do every single minute and every second of every day. Does that make sense? Right, so I'm saying that. So when we are eating, we want to try and eat as little processed foods as possible. That just makes sense because processed food is shit and it's not good for you. We want absorbability, digestibility of every nutrient we eat to go into our body. Processed food will not allow that. Processed food causes inflammation, it causes wrong gut bacteria, it causes a whole plethora of things that we're not going to really discuss in this right now. But let's just all, I'm sure we can all guarantee, processed food's not good for you. So the rule of thumb is if you can't kill it or pick it, don't eat it. Porridge is fine. I always get a message, is porridge processed? Yes, porridge, as anything is altered by a human hand, is processed by nature. For example, pasteurized milk. It has been altered by a human hand, it is processed. Raw milk, no, because it just comes straight out of the cow and there you go. Does that make sense? Things like that, that's what we want to try and avoid as much as possible. So, what do we eat? Anything that you normally eat, but focus on protein primarily. So for example, eggs, chicken, fish, meat, ham, Greek yogurt, perfect. In an ideal world, here's what I would like for you to do. So let's take the 1 to 8, the 7-hour eating one. You're going to have two shakes, 2 scoops of protein, half an hour before your first meal. That's really important. That's one of the most important steps of the day, right? It's not sort of make or break if you haven't got your protein yet, or you can't get it, or you don't like it. Not the end of the world, but it's a very important step when we try to cut satiety. So satiety means hunger. If I have satiety, I am not hungry. We don't want to feel hunger. Alright, 2 scoops of protein. Because of the whey protein sits in the tummy, it makes you feel full. So whenever you do start eating half an hour window, or half an hour later on the eating window, there's less chance of you gorging and overeating because the belly's just sitting full, which is a very good tool. Even if you're thinking about, here's one meal and 3 hours later the next meal, and you've noticed on the next meal you get that gorge mentality, halfway in between, have 1 scoop of protein. It just helps to make you feel full up. The other reason why the protein is important is when we're fasting, by nature, fasting means eating less food. If we're eating less food, we're eating less protein. Guys, I'm going to talk about this over the next 12 days, and you're going to be blue in the face hearing this, but I cannot emphasize this enough. Protein is the key to life, right? And I mean life. You think about anything to do with your life, quality of life, protein is the key to it. When it comes to looking good, feeling good, sleeping good, staving away infections and diseases and illnesses, boosting your immune system, muscle repair, reducing inflammation. I mean, the list absolutely goes on. Protein is the key, and unfortunately in Western world and modern days, protein is one of the foods that we eat the least of. Normally, typically, because it's also the most expensive food source, but it is what we need. But there's all alternatives. For example, whey protein. And I'll get into whey protein. You may say whey protein is processed. Yes, it is, but it's a derivative of making milk and the cheese. It's a process that's left behind, and I'll get into that in another video about why whey protein is actually so good. There's a thing called bioavailability. So when we eat protein, for example, there's the digestibility, how much of this am I actually digesting, and then there's the absorbability, and then there's the bioavailability. So there's 3 factors that we're looking for when we consume protein. Right, and again, we'll get into this. Again, trying not to make this overcomplicated, but just so that you know going forward over the next 12 days, there's a lot that I want you to learn and understand. And again, this is because I really want you to be able to apply this for the rest of your life, to look good and feel good, and just live long and live strong and live healthy and feel absolutely fucking amazing. Because the one thing that really absolutely annoys me to the end of earth is the fact that I'm too old, or this thing, like I've been working with ladies in menopause now for about 10 years. You see this thing about menopause, like it's a life phase, or my life is over, or I have to suffer all these negative fucking effects of it. It's bollocks, ladies. It's absolute utter fucking bollocks. You've been sold down the river by supplement companies selling you bollocks, right? Like collagen, and I'll get on that down the line, which is a real gripe of mine, and I know it's a real love and passion for ladies. Ladies are ripping you off. It's a fucking con, right? Stop taking collagen, it's a rip off. But anyway, see, I'm getting off on wee tangents here. Get used to that because it'll happen. So anyway, So we want to think about your normal day. What would you eat? So your whey protein, then hopefully after that you maybe have 3 or 4 eggs. Eggs with a bit of avocado, make it into an omelette, put it in whatever you want in it, make it nice and tasty. But that's what we're mainly looking for. So you can see there's not very many carbohydrates. Carbohydrates being bread, pasta, cereal, all that kind of stuff. A few hours later, you would maybe have like a chicken salad or another protein shake. Then you'd have your main dinner. Your main dinner would comprise of hopefully meat and lots of vegetables, a good stir fry, something like that. Again, we're not talking about being monks, we're not talking about not enjoying food, but we're talking about just being a bit more conscious of what we're actually putting on the plate and prioritizing your protein. When you get to the last meal, some people do feel genuinely full up and very hard to eat, especially when you get used to fasting. You find that you tend to want less food. So whatever's on your plate, let's say there's a chicken breast and there's vegetables, try and focus on consuming all the chicken before you start loading up the veg, because the veg will bloat you and you'll feel hungry or feel full up very, very quick. We don't want to sacrifice the protein. Again, you'll be blue in the face me telling you, but protein really is the key. And then maybe an hour later, before your last meal or your last eating window's up, maybe a bit of Greek yogurt. I love having my last meal, ladies, Greek yogurt. Sometimes I'll add a scoop of whey protein and mix it up and do like a wee mousse, depending on how much protein I've been able to get that day, depending on how long the fast was. I'll add in some blueberries, I'll add in some strawberries, some raspberries, loads of berries, guys, loads of antioxidants, really good. And I will even always sprinkle some honey on it. All right, loads of honey. Honey, again, natural sugar. All right, loads of honey, really good for the immune system, really good for digestibility, really good actually for helping insulin, although it's sugar and it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but we'll get into that again during the week. All right, so again, listen, any questions, let me know. If you're having a 4-hour eating window, protein shake, eggs, have a bit of a gap, have your main dinner, and then again, Greek yogurt before you go to bed. Guys, don't count calories on this. The whole point of intermittent fasting as a tool is that we don't count calories. So try not to be getting on this mindset of, I have to have so many calories. Intermittent fasting by nature is a way to restrict calories. What I look at is from a nutrition point of view, from a nutrition coaching point of view, we have to reduce calories to burn fat. Again, we'll get on this probably tomorrow or Wednesday about the mechanisms of that, how it works, so you really understand how your body actually burns fat. Because unless you know that, it's very difficult to know what to eat and what not to eat, and how much to eat and how much not to eat, because you don't actually know what you're doing. Like, some people think just going on a diet just magically burns fat. Then why? And they think there's some fattening food and non-fattening food. If I eat, say for breakfast, I eat a fucking turnover, and the other person eats, the exact amount of calories, but in porridge and blueberries, then the person eating the turnover is going to get fat, and the person eating the porridge isn't, because this is fat and that's not. It's not. It's bollocks. They're both the same calories. They're both going to have exactly the same effect when it comes to weight loss or weight gain. So why does your body burn fat? It's not because you've changed the food sources. It's because you've reduced calorie intake. All right. Yes, some food sources do by nature help you reduce calories because there's less calories in them, but it's still a calorie in, calorie out process. All right. And I'll explain again why this gets harder as we age. But anyway, so that's what we're trying to think about. Why do all these things work? What's the mechanisms behind them, and how do we operate? So again, some of these, please stick up your weight. I know there's a lot of these, because he's messaged me afterwards, sit in the background. You don't put up your weight, you don't interact, you don't do nothing, you just sit in the background and do the fasting. Well, that's all well and good, and it is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But from a motivational point of view, human beings by nature, we are sort of, we like social events. We like to get involved and stuff. We like to take part. And do you know what I mean? I know some of you have been sitting in the background now for a year and you've been doing really, really, really well. But after a year, ladies, you've quite a lot of insight into how this feels, how it goes. Why is it difficult for the first couple of days for new people? Help them. Right, because you were once there as well, to help them answer the questions, give them a wee bit of feedback, give them a bit of motivation, tell them how much weight you've lost so far over the last 6 months, a year of doing intermittent fasting, and how easy it is. Because you know yourself, for the new people, the first couple of days is an absolute fucking nightmare, although it's all in the head. It is all in the head. We know that now. Remember, that hunger feeling that you get, guys, it's just a hormonal release because blood sugar levels have dropped slightly. It's not hunger. You're not going to die. Right, there's nobody fucking died on any of this yet, and they've been doing it for years. You're not going to die. As long as there's body fat on your body, you have energy, you have fuel. The reason why your body stored fat, it was energy food to get later. but there's never a fucking later. So now, guys, is later. It's time to say, there's the cream fingers and the turnovers that we had maybe 6 months ago. Right, eat that now, use that now. That's what I stored it for. So you're not hungry. Unless you can show me an absolute ripped six-pack, I'll say, all right, maybe you are hungry. But I don't think there's going to be many of those. Right, so let's focus on thinking about what this is. And remember, most of your hunger feelings, like I said, it's a hormone called ghrelin, don't just come from low blood sugars. Like I said, they also come from dehydration. So if we're dehydrated, we will feel hungry. Dehydration, guys, does not just mean drinking copious amount of water. It means having the ability for the body or the muscle specifically to retain that water. We need things like sodium, magnesium, potassium, a whole pile of other vitamins and minerals that go into the muscle to help draw the water in. That's what keeps you hydrated, not just drinking copious amount of water. If you're drinking water and you're drinking a litre and you're peeing too, you're not hydrated, you are dehydrated. Alright, there's a big difference. So having something like salt in the morning, a wee bit of sodium, having your wee electrolytes, whatever they are. For you guys who do use the electrolyte drinks, you know, the all that kind of stuff, please do me a favour, go and post up a picture of them and where you got them and how much they weigh, for everybody else to have a look and say, oh, that looks good. And they won't break a fast. And even if one or two of them do break a fast, guys, it's not that be all and end all. It's what we do over a long period of time, not what we do right or wrong in the moment. All right, because we're all human beings. Like I'm having black coffee, but if I forget myself, I have a bowl of porridge, it's not the end of the world. I'll just jump back on and do whatever I have to do. Alright, remember, there is no right or wrong here, just what we can do consistently. There's no such thing as a good day or a bad day. There's no such thing as a bad weekend. Nobody, and again, when I explain about calories in, calories out, and how the body absorbs calories and vice versa, you'll notice that one bad day or one bad weekend never made anybody fucking fat. It's impossible. It doesn't happen that way. Your weight may have gone up in the scales, but that doesn't mean you get fat. It means you get fluid retention and bloat, and maybe you need a good poo or a good pee for the food that you get out of you. That's all it is. Alright, and hopefully by the end of this, I know we have used the scales as a starting point and a finishing point, but hopefully by the end of this, right, I will convince you to get your scales and throw them in the bin and never step on them ever again. Hopefully. Can't see that happening. I'm doing this 35 years and I am yet to see a woman who's a good relationship with a set of scales. Especially my missus. Don't tell her I said that. Have a good day.